Hello, everybody, and welcome to Skill 4, Be Careful of Present Participles for the Structure section of the TOEFL preparation course. And in this video, we're going to be looking now specifically at the verbs, right? And in this case, we first have to know that a present participle is actually the same thing as a gerund, and it's the same thing as the verb in ing or the ing verb, right? So when we hear present participle, we may say, whoa, what is that? That's like too technical. But don't worry, it's just the ing form, right? And actually, skill 4 and skill 5, we're going to be working with participles. The main thing we have to know about participles is that, like its name says, it's part. So se parte, right? Like in Spanish, it divides into, first of all, verbs. So they could be verbs, but very important, they can also be adjectives, right? And this is the confusing part because sometimes we see a participle and we say, oh, that's the verb, because we know that the ing is the verb, but it's actually an adjective, right? And there's a way to know if it's an adjective or a verb, right? That way is by seeing if there's a verb to be before it, right? If it precedes it. Let's look at this example. The man is talking to his friend. Is talking. We can say this is a verb because he's doing something, right? He is talking, he's executing the action. Now, this example, the man talking to his friend has a beard. I can ask you, which is the verb in this sentence? If you say talking, maybe you have to read the complete sentence. That's why it's very important to read the whole sentence and not assume, oh, this is the subject, oh, this is the verb, because the verb can be almost at the end. In this case, the verb is going to be has a beard, and talking is only describing the man, right? This is like saying the old man or the interesting man or the young man, right? It's just descriptive. It's an adjective, right? The man talking to his friend, but it's an ing form, right? It's a present participle. So this can be confusing because we say, oh, that's the verb, but it's actually the adjective, right? Okay, so let's look at how TOEFL tests this in the test. Here, for example, it says, the child playing in the yard is my son. Okay, so the child is probably the subject, right? Because it's in the beginning, but let's see this. And we say, here we have an ing structure word, right? We have a present participle. But we also have another verb, which is over here, is my son. So we can say the child is my son is the original sentence, right? And playing is just an adjective there. So we don't need another verb, right? We don't need is. We don't need was. We don't need another verb in past. We don't need a subject because that would be a double subject. The child, he. So in this case, A would be correct because it's just an adverb, right? The child now playing in the yard is my son, right? And playing, we're describing the child. So the best answer is A, right? Okay, so yes, this is where verbs can get confusing, or present participles, because we think they are verbs, but they're actually adjectives, and the verb is somewhere down the line, okay? Okay, so now let's continue with the outline. It says present participles. A present participle is the ing form of the verb. The present participle can be either one, part of the verb, or two, an adjective. It is part of a verb when it is accompanied by some form of the verb be, right? In this case, just to kind of refresh our memory, the verb to be, remember, can be be, right? Can be is, can be are, can be am, can be was, can be were, can even be been, and can be been, right? So all of these are different forms of the verb to be. And if this is followed by a present participle, then that means that it is a verb, or it's a verb structure, right? So yeah, gotta watch out for those. Here we have some examples. Well, and yeah, it is an adjective when it is not accompanied by some form of the verb to be. For instance, the boy is standing in the corner. This is a verb, right? The boy standing in the corner was naughty. Was is going to be my verb, and in this case, standing is just describing the boy. So this is an adjective, right? It's not going to be my verb. All right, so I hope this is clear. Now let's practice this a little bit into the next page. So exercise 4 has 10 sentences, and what we need to do here, it says each of the following sentences contains one or more present participles. Underline the subjects once and the verbs twice as usual. Circle the present participles, right? And label them as adjectives or verbs, then indicate if the sentence is correct or incorrect, right? Okay, so let's get to work. First, let's see number 1 and number 2, and then you can pause the video so you can do 3 to 10, and then we'll check them, okay? So the first one says, the companies offering the lowest prices will have the most customers, okay? So will have in this case is my verb structure. Offering is a present participle. And remember, we have to say, well, is there a verb to be before it? Be, is, are, am, was, were, all of those? No. So it's an adjective. And who or what will have the most customers? The companies. So it has all the elements. They're all in order, right? Nothing extra, nothing missing. So it's correct. Now, number 2 says, those travelers are completing their trip on Delta should report to gate 3. Okay, just that sounds kind of weird. Should report is a verb, right? Are completing is a verb, right? So we have here the ing, which is completing, or the present participle is a verb. And we have one subject, right? Those travelers should report to gate 3 is the sentence. Now, we can't have two verbs, right? So there's an extra verb here, or a double verb. Yes, are completing and should report. So this one is going to be incorrect. In order to make it correct, we would have to eliminate are, right? Extra verb or double verb. Okay, so now if you want to do number 3 to 10, pause the video and we will check it in a moment, okay? All right, let's check it. Number 3 says, the artisans were demonstrating various handicrafts at booths throughout the fair. Okay, so were demonstrating is my verb structure. Demonstrating is going to be a present participle, right? And if we, we have to first define it, right? This is a verb because there's a verb to be before it, were. And if we ask who or what were demonstrating, the artisans were demonstrating, right? Various handicrafts at booths throughout the fair. I think it's correct. Yeah, it's correct. There's no other element to consider there. Okay, number 4, the fraternities are giving the wildest parties attract the most pledges. Okay, we have a verb here, attract, and we have a verb here, are giving, because there is a verb to be before giving, which would actually make giving or our present participle also a verb, right? So this is a verb. And who or what attract the most pledges? The fraternities, right? But it's the same problem as number 2. There are double verbs. There are 2 verbs, right? It's a double verb and it would be incorrect. So we would have to eliminate are, and it would just have to say the fraternities giving the wildest parties attract the most pledges, right? Okay, number 5, the first team winning 4 games is awarded the championship. So is a verb here. Winning in this case is not a verb because there's no verb to be before it. So this would actually just be an adjective. The first team winning 4 games is awarded the championship. Who or what is awarded the championship? The first team. So it has all its elements and it would be correct. Yeah, number 5 is correct. All right, now let's look at number 6. The speaker was trying to make his point, was often interrupted vociferously. So the speaker was trying is a verb because it has an verb to be before. Trying, in this case, is the verb to, because there's a verb to be. But we have another verb here, was interrupted or was often interrupted, right? Who or what was often interrupted? The speaker. But this is like number 2 and number 4, right? It's incorrect because there is a double verb. Yeah, was trying and was often interrupted. In order to make this one correct, the same thing, we have to eliminate was. The speaker trying to make his point was often interrupted vociferously. Okay, number 7, the fruits were rotting because of the moisture in the crates carrying them to market. Okay, so the verb here is going to be were rotting. We have here a present participle, which is rotting. And according to the logic, this would be a verb because there's a verb to be before it, were. Now, over here, we have another present participle, carrying, but there is no verb to be before it, right? So it's just a simple harmless adjective. It doesn't alter the sentence. And the fruits were rotting. That's the subject verb. So yeah, because of the moisture. And plus it says because of the moisture. So it's not because the moisture causes this or something like that. So this one would be correct. Number 7, yeah, no problem there. Okay, number 8, any student desiring official transcripts should complete the appropriate form. Should complete is the verb here. We have here a present participle, desiring, and desiring, since it doesn't have a verb to be before it, is just going to be a harmless adjective. And who or what should complete the appropriate form? Any student, right? So I think this one is correct. No problem here. Okay, let's look at number 9. The advertisements were announcing the half-day sale received a lot of attention. We have here a verb, received a lot of attention, and we have here another verb because there's a verb to be, were announcing. Announcing here is a present participle because it has ing, and since there is a word before it, it is a verb, right? So who or what received a lot of attention? The advertisements, but the same thing as number 6, 4, and 2. We have an extra verb, right? Were, so it would be incorrect. This is a double verb problem, were, announcing, and received. So in order to make this one correct, we need to eliminate were, right? And number 10, the spices flavoring the meal were quite distinctive. So we have a verb here, a verb to be, were. Flavoring is actually going to be a present participle, but since there is no verb to be before it, it's simply an adjective, right? And the spices flavoring the meal were quite distinctive. So who or what were quite distinctive? The spices, right? And there's no problem here. All the elements are there. So this one would be correct, okay? So I really hope this helped you out. Next structure class, we're going to be looking at skill 5, which is actually a past participle. So we'll finish up this topic with the participles. And I hope you have a great day. I will see you next class, all right? Bye.